Good day, everyone. For today's presentation, I'll be discussing to you the Chapter 9 of Intermediate Accounting 3, which is the Interim Financial Reporting under PAS 34. Ang Interim Financial Reporting ay ang presentation and preparation of financial statements for a period of less than a year. Ang interim financial reporting ay pwede rin i-present monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually. Ang most common na ginagamit ay ang quarterly. The example of the quarterly is on the right side. Philippine Accounting Standards 34. It does not mandate, but sometimes other entities are required to do quarterly depends on the law provided such requirements given by SEC or by the government. Ang PAS 34, in-encourage nila ang entities whose shares are publicly treated to provide interim information at least as of the end of the first half of the year and issue it within 60 days. The standard does not address how often nor how soon after the period entities should produce interim reports. Yung SEC at PSE, they required some entities which covered by Revised Securities Act and Rules on Commercial Paper and Financing Act na mag-prepare ng quarterly financial statements para they have complied with the law. If they do interim financial reporting, minimum requirements mandated by the Standard 34. First, minimum components of an interim financial report. Dapat kada condensed statements may selected explanatory notes. Paano yun? Yung mga significant events or transactions na maaring nagpabago ng financial status mo, i-disclose mo through notes or bakit naging ganun yung record mo for that accounts with a span of 6 months, which is semi-annually and so on. Number 2, forms and content of interim financial statements. If the entity present a full set of statement, it follows PAS 1. If nagpa-present naman siya ng condensed statements, the entity must present at a minimum and the headings and subtotals that were presented in the annual statements. According to PAS 34, ang interim financial report is defined as follows: a financial report containing either a complete set of financial statements or a set of condensed financial statements for an interim period. Ang goal ng interim reporting is to provide information about new events and circumstances and other changes, not just to replicate the information given in the annual financial statements. Halos pareho lang ang pagre-report ng annual and interim, ang kahibahan lang ay ang condensed at selected explanatory notes. Ano ang selected explanatory notes? Ang selected explanatory notes ay designed to provide an explanation of significant events and transactions arising since the last annual financial statements. Condensed naman ay it means that only headings and subtotals used in the last annual financial statements are required. It does not prohibit including a complete set of financial statements. Ang PAS 1 ay normally ginagamit yung standard sa to kapag magpe-prepare ka ng annual FS, which is full disclosure and information, while ang interim is shorter than full financial year. Hindi naman siya requirement kaya maaaring complete or condensed ang gamitin, pero kung condensed, mas maikli at mas konti ang information na mailalagay mo. Number 3. Selected explanatory notes, disclosure of compliance with PFRS. It is designed to provide an explanation of significant events and transactions arising since the last annual FS. It's just to make sure din na yung users ay may access sa entity's most recent annual report. Examples of explanatory notes naman ay accounting policies, compliance with IFRS, comments on seasonality or cyclicality, nature of amount of unusual items, changes in estimates, and there are many other explanatory notes disclosed in the interim financial which are significant transaction and events. Materiality and material disclosures. Materiality kasi depends on the size and nature of the omission or misstatement judged in the surrounding circumstances. Kaya naman material disclosure ang tawag sa changes in accounting policies, in seasonality, and cyclicality of the business and the unusual items, nature, and amount of changes in estimates. Number 5. Periods for which interim financial statements are required to be presented. Example siya ng semi-annual interim financial reporting. Tapos, sa next slide, example naman siya ng quarterly interim financial reporting. Lagi nyo lang tatandaan na ang comparative statement of financial position ay ang pinaka-recent annual FS. Sa ibang FS naman, ang comparative ay presented on comparable year-to-date end period. Ang as of, ito ay ang since or so far. Kapag as at naman, means particular time. Pero sa interim financial statements, as of ang ginagamit, kagaya sa financial position. Number 6, recognition and measurement. Yung revenue na natatanggap mo, seasonal or by occasion, such royalties and dividends, ay hindi dapat ina-anticipate or dine-deferred, lalo na kapag hindi appropriate sa end of reporting period. For example, ay tuwing Valentine's Day. Hindi porket malaki ang kita mo, kailangan mo na siya anticipate. Hindi mo siya dapat i-anticipate kagaya sa government grant kasi hindi naman siya pare-pareho. Pero ang uneven cost like provision of warranty, cost of planned major maintenance, and advertising expense should anticipated or deferred. These are the examples of application of the recognition and measurement principles. Intangible assets. Inventories. So inventories, it is measured at the lower of cost or NRV. To save cost and time, entities often use estimates to measure and inventories at interim dates to a greater extent than at the end of the annual reporting periods. So foreign currency translation gains and losses naman, entities do not anticipate future changes in foreign exchange rates or defer translation adjustments at interim date if the adjustment is expected to reverse before at the end of the period. Impairment of assets. PAS 36 requires that an impairment loss be recognized if the recoverable amount has declined below carrying amount. Sa seasonal, cyclical, or occasional revenues, hindi siya anticipated or deferred kapag hindi siya appropriate sa end of the period. Ang dalawang example ay ang government grants and dividend income. Sa government grants, nire-recognize lang siya if may reasonable assurance. Sa dividend income naman, hindi siya dapat anticipated kapag hindi dineclared. Uneven cost. Sa uneven cost, hindi siya constant per month. Pwede siyang i-anticipate kapag appropriate siya at the end of the period. Under nito ang payroll taxes and insurance obligation, major planned periodic maintenance or overhaul, provisions. Sa provisions, recognize siya when an entity has no realistic alternative but to make a transfer of economic benefits. Sa year-end bonuses naman, anticipated siya kapag walang realistic alternative. Contingent lease payments, pension cost. Sa pension cost, calculated siya on a year-to-date basis by using the determined pension cost rate. Paid vacation and holiday leave, other planned but irregularly occurring costs, contractual or anticipated purchase price changes, depreciation and amortization, measurement of income taxes. Use of estimates, examples are inventories, classification of current and non-current assets and liabilities, provisions, pensions, contingencies, revaluation and fair value accounting, intercompany reconciliation, specialized industries. There are two views on interim reporting, ang integral view and discrete view. Ang integral view ay allocated to the periods. Palagi siyang part ng accounting period. Example are depreciation, amortization, income tax expense, year-end bonuses, and compensated absences. Kapag discrete view naman, nire-recognize siya in full in the interim period, which means it can stand alone or separate accounting period. Under ito ay ang write-downs of inventories to NRV or reversal thereof, impairment loss and reversal thereof, gains and losses on changes in fair values, exchange rates and other market-related factors, contingent rent, dividend income, dividend declared, changes in accounting estimates. Sa accounting treatment naman, accounted for retrospectively and accounted for prospectively. Sa changes in accounting policy, kailangan mong baguhin yung past accounting records mo from the start to comply sa bagong accounting policy na gagamitin mo. Same sa correction of prior period error, kailangan retrospective to dahil maaaring yung error na nangyari noon on the prior period is error then prior to that period. So you must look on your first up to the last accounting periods except sa changes in accounting estimates, which is, ito ay prospectively, or that period, kung kailan ka lang nag-estimate, dun lang mababago and up to the future of the accounting.